Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, we are back once again. Fellow Genshin lovers and haters. Genshin is such a weird game for me, and I'm here today not to do a rolling video, but to do a little bit of a critique video. Now, the last critique video I did was mainly for this thing all the way over here, the Imaginarium Theater. Now, whenever I make a critique video, starting with the one I made on Weathering, a lot of people came out of the woodwork and had some really stupid ideas where they didn't even watch the video. A lot of that also happened for the Imaginarium Theater, where a lot of people didn't really watch the video and they just gave their kind of stupid opinion. Now, it's an opinion nonetheless, they're not right or wrong, but some of them were pretty stupid. Either way, I am here once again to criticize Genshin. Now, I'm criticizing it because I would like to say at one point I liked it. I would say I loved it. Now I would say I like it. It's not to the point where Overwatch is for me, where I'm gonna quit the fucking game. It definitely isn't. However, it is sort of to a point where I'm getting really sick of it. Now again, I'm not gonna quit it because it's pretty easy maintenance, and I'm kind of stuck in my ways. However, I had to come here today to complain about something. Now, I was originally very excited when I heard this, but when we actually got it into our hands, I got very upset. So to not really beat around the bush, I'm going to explain what pissed me off today in Genshin Impact. And not really today, it was yesterday, although I'm making the video now. When I saw this thing in the version preview livestream, I didn't really understand how it worked, and I was very excited. And what I'm talking about is the long-term encounter points here, which you can see I have 15.4. Now, it's great that this came out with the new summer event that's going out now, which literally brings in a new land. Excuse me. That's not what it was supposed to bring in. It brings in a new land, which has a lot of chests, has a lot of things to do, and the event itself gives encounter points. So the encounter point system isn't necessarily something that's too new. However, they updated it with this long-term thing. So for those of you who don't know, you can get your dailies done, which is here, which is some annoying-ass quest in some region, where sometimes you do something that's pretty quick, sometimes it's a little annoying, but generally they're not too bad, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Especially compared to how they do it in other games where Star Rail, it's pretty, I don't want to say intuitive, but it's pretty simple. You click one button, you auto battle, you come back, you click one button, you do it again, and within 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how well you've geared your characters, you're pretty much done. Genshin, it's going to take like, what, 5 to 10, but it's still not that long, relatively. But everything in Genshin seems to be worse, because now we are going to where long-term encounter points, in my mind, were supposed to be here to make dailies even easier. Again, they weren't even that hard. I would say of all the Hoyo games that I play, I'm not going to count Impact Third, although in Impact Third, they're also pretty easy, because it's not even an auto battle, it's an auto skip if you've already done certain things in that game, in the combat. So it's not that hard to get the dailies in there either. I would say Genshin's probably the most annoying one. Zenless, it's pretty quick. Star Rail, it's pretty easy and sometimes pretty quick. Genshin, it's probably the most annoying and takes the longest, even though it's not that long. So, even though it wasn't a main issue, I think the main issue with the game is the resin. I think the resin system is fucking atrocious, especially compared to all the other games, except Zenless. Zenless is finding its way. Hopefully they rework that one too, but it just came out, so it gets a little bit of a pass. Now, long-term encounter points were coming in. I thought what they were going to do was they were going to go and make it so we didn't have to do dailies if we banked them. Now again, for those of you who don't know, encounter points you basically get if you find chests, if you do story, and if you do all these other things that most likely you're going to do anyway if you explore, but sadly you don't get them if you do domains. And that was the main thing I was hoping, but that's not the case. Now, when you get them, instead of them capping out for the day and you not basically being able to do anything else, well, you could still get chests and stuff, they just wouldn't count. Now they're keeping a tally. Now the first thing is already these things reset, and it's kind of fair. And you can see here, I'll bring up the little infographic here. This is actually somewhat of a nice little side thing where now we know when the next big thing is coming. We know Natlan's coming in 39 days. Now granted, we probably didn't have to guess that too hard. I'm not like cracking the Da Vinci Code here, but it's kind of nice to see a little counter when the next big version is coming. That's really nice, but everything else, right? This is where once I really read it and I was like, oh, this is how you do it, I got fucking pissed. So, long-term encounter points, storing them is fine. You're probably going to get them pretty easily, especially if you do events, if you explore the world. You're going to get them. It's not hard to get them. They do reset, which I think in a way is fair. If it was going to work the way I thought, where you just log on, you use them, and you go. Now, originally they were going to have them be costing resin, but that's what I thought. I actually misread it. I thought you would have to spend 30 resin, because here you have 4 slots, because you could replace the dailies with them. You have 4 slots to do them, and I just thought, okay, you spend 30, 60, 90, and then 120 resin, and you could just use them in term of doing the dailies. It was kind of like an optional thing that it's like, why wouldn't you do, right? This is where I come to find out you can use whatever you use, right? Whatever you do, if you spend 30 original resin at least or more, that basically uses up a long-term encounter point. So this is wrong. This is wrong wording right here. You may use long-term encounter points. It's not you may use, you will use. And I tested this. Now granted, they might change this in the future, but so far from what I understand, I used to have 18. And I used them over the past couple days just to really test things out. But if you do stuff like grind artifacts, do world bosses, if you do anything that costs resin, and you use 30 resin, it is going to take your long-term encounter point. You could still do the dailies. You could decide to do these things if you want. Even after you've used the long-term encounter point, it is going to use it no matter what, even if you don't actively choose to claim it. If you choose to do all the dailies, you don't have to claim this. You can do the dailies, get the primo gems that way. But no matter what, if you do anything that costs resin before you use the long-term encounter points, it will eat them up and give you the option to use them. So it's not like it's saying you may use it. It's like, no, it will consume it. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, not only does this not work, and again, you could say, is it fair, is it not fair to sort of just pop resin when you get in the game for like 30 seconds? Because at that point, it would be less than 30 seconds, where you would get on, go into this menu, pop it, spend 120 resin, which you're going to get anyway, and then get off. At that point, you could basically say, like, okay, you grinded enough to just get on the game, then get off because you don't want to play it till a major things comes out, but you don't want to spend 10 minutes on to do your dailies. Some people might side on the fence where it's like, okay, that's kind of dumb. You're kind of just getting on the game to not play it, then get off. But you've kind of earned, I don't want to say you've earned that right, but I feel like people in the other boat will be like, well, okay, you want to spend at least as least time as possible and just get on and get off. And you do have to technically earn these encounter points. Now, where I am on the side of the fence is I'm a little pissed, obviously, as I've mentioned. I think, I don't want to say it's as much of a slap in the face as the Imaginarium Theater is, because God, do I hate that thing. Even though I fully beat it, which some people don't really seem to understand. I think this is, not only was I blindsided by this, because obviously I couldn't read and that's on me, but just the way this works and the fact that if you are going to do stuff that costs resin before you have to do your dailies, if you don't want to use these, you have to do your dailies first if you don't want it to consume long-term points. I think that's so stupid. I don't understand if they tested this. I don't understand if they didn't care, if this is intentional, if this is not. I don't know. And I don't want to make this another Genshin rant where I just, shit on the game. But it's like, the game is just so annoying. It's really cookie cutter. We just get the same things over and over again. Events that maybe slightly get better, new events that are kind of whatever, but it's all mini games. It's all pretty much nonsense. And Genshin really has fallen into a formula where I don't know how this could be sustainable for long-term creators without going crazy, unless you really like this sort of thing, which I'm not knocking anyone if they do. But it's like, goddamn, I always say Genshin for its time was pretty good. It got gotchas on the radar for a lot of people, but it has not kept up with the times. Star Rail is still the boss. Let's just keep it real. But these long-term encounter points really piss me off because it really highlights a thing of like, I don't think Genshin is ever going to give what the hardcore players actually want, and they've kind of said this again with not really wanting to add too much late game, and obviously with the Imaginarium Theater, we really see that. But it's like they don't want to rework the resin system, which I think is one of the worst systems in here. And again, you can, I mean, you can, but I don't think it's fair to compare it to other gotchas outside of Hoyo, because Hoyo has its own set of games, and in the other games, they do it better. It's like, again, Star Rail does it so much better. There's a reserve system, there's a higher limit, it's just amazing. This game, it feels like shit. So in a bubble, I can see why people wouldn't probably mind it. And again, it's very casual, but it's just like, it's so stupid, it's so dumb. And when I saw this long-term encounter point bullshit, and when I got on to just claim it and then leave, and then I realized like, oh wait, I have to spend resin for this. And then if I use resin, right, to just do something, the fact that it consumes the points, even if I'm not going to use it, was like, okay, I'm pissed off, this is so dumb, it shouldn't work like this, and I'm just pissed off. So another example of me getting excited for something, again, with the Imaginarium Theater, I was excited. I'm like, oh, look, a new late game thing. Turned out to be not to my liking. Maybe to some people's, not to mine, and I've explained why in my other video. Now the long-term encounter points. I was excited, And I guess they are still good. Overall, it is a benefit, it is a buff, technically, because you can go do other things now that cost resin. But it's like, even if you choose to not do it that way, you still have to do something else, which, granted, that's fair, right? You have to get on the game and actually do something. But the fact that it works this way, and the fact that they're just not changing the resin system, and this is what it costs, and it costs resin to do this, again, it's half fair, but I really think in some ways it's just annoying. Like, they don't even give you the option. Even the writing. The writing got me confused, and I'm just pissed. Like, this is what the reality is. It's better than nothing. It's better than what we had before. It gives us another option, but the biggest complaint I have is just Genshin could be and should be way better, especially for the modern age. Either way, that's about it. I hope everyone enjoyed. I really am curious to know what you all think of the new system. Obviously, again, hands down, just comparing it, it is better than old, but I just think it's so annoying because I have a vision for what I think is fair, especially when I compare the other Hoyo games, aka Star Rail. And it's just like seeing Genshin being where it is and how lazy they are. I really feel like Genshin is the exception because it could get away doing almost nothing and still get so much money, which means they're going to still keep doing the same bullshit. Gradual improvements, yeah, but not that much. So please tell me what you think, and please watch me at Twitch TV Tecnics channel. I hope everyone enjoyed. Eee!